So we're talking to Dr. Ian O'Byrne. I'm Peggy Symingson, and I'm at UT Arlington. And where are you at?
I'm at College of Charleston. I'm right now in downtown Charleston. There's my palm tree as evidence.
I'm actually taking time now to go back and look through your videos and listen to them and learn from them. And I noticed in the last video, which I'll link below this recording, where you're talking with Greg, you're talking about web literacies, but it also brought to my mind the need to prepare teachers, both pre-service and in-service, with web literacies, digital literacies, broadly defined, and blended learning, which is really picking up traction here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. A lot of schools moving into blended learning. I wanted to pick your brain because you're into all this, but how do we build up those skill sets? Kind of where are we at? Where should we be in theory? And then most importantly, how do we get there?
It's a tough cluster of questions. Part of the challenge is that I think that many times we don't make all of this approachable for educators. You know, I think it's pre-service teachers. I think that we need to develop it and identify it and meaningfully integrate these new digital literacies into our classrooms in pre-service programs. And then I think we need to, within service teachers, we need to provide opportunities to build up their skill sets. You know, and then we need to also think about higher ed instructors and faculty and how do we build up their skill sets. I think many times we look at the student. We look at the student in K-12 or the student in an undergrad class and say, we need to bring these skills and build up these skills with you. But I think that many times we ignore the educator. We ignore the adult and we make this assumption that they already have these skills and that they just get it. And we all know that that's not true. You know, I think that we need to re-examine the model. You know, re-examine how do we work with pre-service students? How do we work with, you know, in-service? How do we work as higher ed instructors and researchers? And focus on both levels, the instructor and the student in each of those areas. Part of the challenge is that my advisor, Don Liu, said that, you know, literacy and technology are a deixis, which means that it's always changing. I think that that's wonderful and beautiful. Not many people agree because it makes you a little bit fearful about, I don't know everything and it seems too much and overwhelming. And I think that part of the other challenge is that we use all of these terms and all they do is confuse and confound people. Mm-hmm. So, you know, for JAL, Journal of Adolescent and Adult Literacy, I was the multi-literacies department editor. I studied at the New Literacies Research Lab. I have read and written a lot about some of the work that my colleague Doug Belshaw has conducted in digital literacies. We have 21st century literacies, we have techno literacies, we have, you know, pretty much every form of literacy that, and I've not mentioned a couple, and basically what we're getting at is these new literacy practices, ways that we read, write, participate, communicate online, you know, and using digital texts and tools. And so I think with all of these terms, yes, there is a beautiful nuance in each of them, but I think that part of the problem is that all we do is confuse people. And I tried to say, all right, let's stop the confusion. How do we just make this happen? Mm-hmm. How can you're already, the research shows that we are already as a society reading online.
Right.
You know, the Kaiser Family Report, the Pew Internet American Life, we're drinking all the digital Kool-Aid. Right. How can we start to move ourselves and our students from primarily consuming online digital content to curating content, making sense of it and synthesizing it, and then creating and constructing and building and writing the web? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm trying to figure out. How do we make that happen?
I agree. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying about fears, about change, about terminology, and a thought came to mind too. There's a whole new skill set of how to keep up. like who to follow and what to follow, and with all the information out there, what to pay attention to. So I think that's a whole separate skill set for teacher educators and for educators.
Yeah, you don't know what to deal with, and there's too much. Twitter's not approachable.
Yeah.
Twitter doesn't make any sense. Twitter's not approachable. And so I've been doing a lot of reading and research into marketing and entrepreneurship and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think that there is, they basically suggest that if you want to figure out where people are, you study them, and I just wrote a post about this in terms of a podcast and identifying your avatar, but it's where are people? And educators, a lot of people are my students in my classes. They are on Pinterest. When they need to find a lesson, they go to Pinterest.
Right.
Open educational resources don't mean anything to them, but they know I can go to Pinterest and find stuff.
Right.
So I'm like, open educational resources and this online stuff is basically stuff before it gets to Pinterest. Like if I were to put it on Pinterest, then you would automatically value it. They're Pinterest, Instagram as a tool, Facebook, like and Facebook groups, have a lot of traction. But Twitter's not approachable. Google Plus really is not approachable for a lot of people. So it's finding ways to get to that place and make it approachable. But I also think that, like we said, I said in the last response that I think a lot of this stuff is not approachable, and we need to figure out ways to help translate. Say, okay, here's what we need to do, and we need people to say, okay, this is how you get it done fast. We need directives. We need people that can look at, this is all the multitude of things that you could do. We need directives. Do this, don't do that. This is what you got to do in your classroom on Monday.
Right, simplify.
And a lot of us in education, especially in higher ed, we don't want to do that. We want, well, you need to fully understand the complexity, and then we don't have time for that.
Right, I agree. Yeah, that's so true. We need to just, streamline these things for people, because it's like drinking out of a fire hose of information. And so we've got to distill that down. And I think that what you're doing with curating content is great. And I think we need more of that in our field of literacy, more curated content, so that we can trust certain people to curate certain content, perhaps, or get us started thinking about certain topics instead of ignoring it.
I think it's a huge skill. It's like when we say that we consume content, we're all reading online content all the time.
Yeah.
My wife is probably home right this very second, looking for recipes on Pinterest, talking about her kids and grandkids and stuff like that. She doesn't have grandkids, but her nieces and nephews on Facebook. She is researching other stuff for her business. I have colleagues right down the hall that are researching, reading online. Then there's the curation side. It's looking at and synthesizing as a more knowledgeable other all of the stuff that's out there. So I might be an expert in literacy and technology. I might be an expert in fine Italian handbags. To me, it doesn't matter. You, with your mindset, with your eye, with your critical eye, look at all the stuff out there and say, here's the important stuff. This is the important stuff you need to pay attention to. And I think that is a very necessary and needed skill set. And I view it as a step up from consumption. The next one would be creating, blogging and podcasting and all that. But I think there's a middle ground that we can move ourselves and our kids up to, our students up to, which is curation.
Definitely needed. Definitely. Well, that's great. I've also been thinking a lot about marketing, because I'll see these great, wonderful things people are doing, but the word's not blasted out on the internet, so to speak. And I think we think, oh, I'm self-promoting, but we need to get information out there. There's just so much. And so I wish that our field as a whole would kind of take some techniques or tips or whatever. Is that what you're thinking with the marketing? Just getting the word out, knowing how to navigate marketing of ideas?
Yeah. And I think that we all have different, the problem is a lot of times we say, as an academic, there are multiple issues with it. Most of it's that it's not the currency that we all deal in.
Yeah.
The fact that I blog a lot and you're podcasting now and we're doing all these other things, most of our institutions could care less.
Right. Doesn't
and then in K-12, or the institution says, no, don't do that. In K-12, it might be they say, keep your head under the radar, don't do anything, don't go online, depending on where you are. But I think that part of the challenge is that when we talk about marketing and self-promotion, we have this mindset that it's a negative, that it is a negative. But my thinking is, you have gone through your schooling career, you have educated yourself, you are an expert in many different fields. Thanks to this new platform, thanks to internet and new technologies, why should your expertise be saved for the people that happen to just live right next door to you, or live in your area, or come to be students in your area?
Yeah.
Right now, I think it's an old mindset. I think it's an old frame of thought. With technology, we can break down barriers of the classroom walls, but then now your reach can be far broader, and it's, I think, I was recently having a talk with, I'll name drop, with Freddie Hibbert, and talking about a lot of like ideas and getting myself figured out for next steps. And she said, it's all about developing a platform. At this point, you have the expertise. The self-doubt really shouldn't be a part of the picture. It's all about building a platform. And through digital techs and tools, you have that opportunity to build that platform. Now it's, how can I really polish and hone what I'm doing, understand where I want to go, and build that platform so I can get there.
Good advice.
And you're really doing you're doing other people online a disservice if you don't offer that help.
Right. It's like, why are we hiding?
Yeah, why?
There's no point.
And the next billion, I think it's more than a billion, but the next large contingent of people that will be online will be non-native English speakers.
Interesting.
And so other corporations, Google, Facebook, they are all aware of these developing markets. You have a lot of people that will come on and need literacy. They will need the ability to read and write. You have a lot of English language learners that will come on. You have a lot of people that, will need the opportunity to build up this digital skill set. And we are talking about one small frame. Why not help them and give them the expertise so that they can, I've always viewed it as, helping them avoid the learning curves and the cuts and bruises that I've engaged in and you've engaged in as we've tried to figure this out.
Right.
We've learned a lot and forgotten a lot and made a lot of mistakes and few successes as we figured out, how do I blog, how do I do video, how do I do, why not share our expertise and bring that expertise to others so that they don't have to go through that same learning curve.
Yeah, I see all of this as like group mentoring.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think I'm in the process now of trying to figure out, okay, is there an opportunity to develop a small cluster of people, a mastermind group of people where we basically hold each other accountable and we give each other honest, critical feedback, and we say, okay, I look at your blog, this makes sense, this doesn't, or I looked at your podcast, I would clean this up. Honest, critical feedback so that group can be the best they can possibly be and push each other.
That's good, not just frou-frou.
Yeah. You don't want just yes ma'am, no ma'am all around you. It's like, all right, out of love and respect for me, give me feedback. Let me know what I need to work on. Like, let's all push each other and improve each other.
Right, because it's also emerging. Well, good. Those are good ideas. I think I'll stop there. I think that's a lot of food for thought. I'm going to link your various projects into the comments section below the video. Cool. And then give people like a launching place to go.
All right. No, it's good. And I have the podcast. I'm just trying to figure out, I'm launching a series of posts about podcasting. And so what I will do is those JAW podcasts, as they pop up, I'll have those out there ready to go.